Episode of Why'd You Buy That? That's where we blend Antiques Roadshow with Oprah's Book Club, minus all the woo woo, goopy, all that. Yes, this is new. I haven't had this wonderful, beautiful chair in my videos in the past. And so we're going to talk about it because it's related to why'd you buy that? Well, I bought this, but for today's purposes, our item I'm bringing to the audience is this. Oh my gosh, isn't it so cute? Look, it's like, oh, the baby of the. Okay, so why did I buy this? Well, I bought it because when I saw it in a immediately like was like conjured up very nostalgic feelings and iconography, well, like visual memory, like memories of being in my communion outfit, which I'll probably insert here somewhere, and with my mom and dad in this chair. I think my mom was sitting in the chair, yes, because she was wearing some crazy like shoes, and then my dad was there for some reason, which is odd in itself. But anyways, so it made me think of that, and then I have other pictures, and I know some of you guys out there have pictures in this iconic chair, which has many names, and we're going to discuss two parts of this chair. And a lot of people don't know that rattan is actually the material, much like bamboo is a material, rattan's a material, and wicker is the weaving pattern. And so a lot of people know this as a throne chair, just straight up rattan chair. Some people know it as the Manila chair, the Emmanuel chair, and the Peacock chair, which is this more elaborate design in the back. But I think it's also known as a Peacock chair because of the back is a fan, like fans. And you know it by many different iterations of names. But is iteration the right term for that? I don't know. Who cares? We're moving on. But the name that a lot of people don't know is Bilibid, which is Bilibid, Bilibid chair. And that actually is the real name and original name of this piece. But most people do not understand the very origins of this cool chair that many of you, your parents and your grandparents probably have this chair at their house or a version of it because there's so many versions of it. You rewind for part uno of the chair. The chair was created back in the day in the early 1900s in the why can't I say that right? A correctional facility in Manila known as Bilibid Prison. Bilibid Prison. My mom does not like the way I say Bilibid. It's Tagalog word. She's all like Bilibid. I mean, the emphasis on the wrong syllable. Okay. And the name and the word Bilibid is it means coiled or like round, coiled, which makes sense because that prison, the shape of that prison, that correctional facility is actually round, but like the center is like the guard station. But okay, so back in the day, that place was originally like a leftover from the Spanish era, and then when the Americans came and occupied the Philippines in the late 1800s all the way to 1946, okay, till the World War II ended, Americans felt like the people in there, they were going to make them into great citizens when they came out of prison. And in order to do that, they wanted the prisoners to have a trade. There was a lot of arts and crafts going on inside that prison, weaving, and they were making furniture in that prison. So then they made so much furniture, and during that time, the Victorian era, and these people were traveling on vacation, right? And they were allowed to go to the prison to watch the prisoners make furniture and other items. Okay. And there was an actual catalog at the Bilibid prison that was called the Catalog of Products of the Industrial Division of Bilibid Prison 1917. Philippines at the time was known as the American tropics. Okay. So people would come and travel all around the Philippines. Hence, a lot of books, a lot of old school, rare, vintage, historical books are written from people that were on vacay going through the Philippines at that time in the American tropics. So they would go to this prison, they would see people make stuff, they would order it, buy it, order it, and then it got shipped out of the prison and to wherever these people shipped it to. But that's how it got out into the world. The prison was sort of like a workshop, and that's what they did. That was my neighbor. Okay, cut. All right, moving on. Okay. So in the catalog, it had photos, and the photo evidence of the chair, the Peacock chair. There was a picture, the first picture in that catalog from like early 1900s was of a dog sitting on the chair and just kind of hanging out. Yeah. And then the next very kind of sad photo, but of a woman who's a prisoner with her kid sitting with her in the chair. And that was 1917. Yes, that was 1917. Then later on during World War II, so, you're going from the early 1900s all the way to like the 1940s, where the prison was taken over by the Japanese during the Japanese occupation of the Philippines in World War II. And that prison was home to Filipinos, and American GIs were in that prison for almost 3 years. The prison has a history of many things, including, a lot of people that were in World War II were in prison there. And this book from 1947 was written by Charles Brown. So this book is his experience along with poetry from him or from other prisoners that were in the camp with him. Was because they would write it on the inside of the labels of a lot of the tin foods, the tin cans that they got. So there's that. And books. So tobacco and books were like the thing that they were like, oh my gosh, that was like the thing that helped them get through, if they got through their prison life. And they would also get old newspapers, and old newspapers, like, it's not even news anymore, but they would get it and read it, and they were allowed to read it. But it was like, so this I purchased, which is a steel printing block that was used in newspapers. And I'm not sure if it was from Tennessee or from Ohio, but this was printed in the United States, and it's titled Christmas Eve in Bilibid. And it was like a letter to the incarcerated or to the imprisoned GIs in the Bilibid prison in Manila in the Philippines. I guess they knew that somehow they would get the paper eventually, and it was just to wish them, Merry Christmas or like stay strong during the holidays. So that's part one of the prison, the crafts, because here on, Why'd You Buy That, or the Kariligan Studio channel, we like to emphasize the arts, books, crafts, design, and decor of the Philippines. So obviously the Philippines is filled with a lot of what I think are like some of the best artisans and craftspeople in the world. That's right. And the other part of the Peacock chair, right? Back to this guy. Why'd you buy that? Why'd you buy this? 1960s, 1970s photo of Huey Newton, the leader of the Black Power movement during that time. And he's photographed in it holding a spear and holding a rifle. And a lot of people know that photograph that is very iconic of, the time, symbolize, and it's an icon of, resistance and power. And also, going back to the history of the Philippines, the creation of it, it was created in a prison. So full circle, that's why I bought this. If you are Filipino, it is the Manila chair or the Bilibid chair, or, the Peacock chair. And its history and its origins are from Manila, the Philippines.